Hi everyone, is it okay if I speak in English? Today, Jules, Allard and myself will introduce you to the concepts of event sourcing, domain-driven design and CQRS. And we will illustrate how it can help you innovate. And I really want us to stand still with the last word, innovation. Because when we talk about digital innovation, we often associate with digital transformation. And last week, I was with my colleague Vincent on the AWS Summit in Amsterdam. And the big new digital innovation was all about generative AI. Stefan, here you go. And generative AI is also well known as ChatGPT under all of us. And I really believe in it. And when we were on our way back home in the car with Vincent, we were discussing how can we introduce generative AI to our customers? How can we put it on their digital roadmap? But after some discussions, we concluded that we first need to change the data strategy of our clients. Because generative AI and other innovative new things in the world, they all require data. But our customers don't have the right data strategy, in my opinion. So let's change the data strategy, and it's a very simple one. The data strategy is capture all the data of all your business processes, of all your applications, keep it, store it forever, you never throw it away, and then you have to unlock it in your ecosystem so that everyone in your ecosystem that is interested can do something with the data. So very simple, capture, keep, and unlock all your data. But you might wonder, Michael, how are we going to do this? And I think the answer is obvious, event sourcing. But before we go into event sourcing, let's talk about football. I don't know, Sunday was a big day. Who saw the football games between Antwerp and Genk? Antwerp is our client and also the best football team in Belgium. And the game started at 6:31 between Genk and Antwerp. So it's something that happened. And then after 45 minutes, that damn Tolu of Genk, he scored. And we're like, oh no, we don't have the title. But then we were virtually winning because Hirano of Antwerp scored in the 58th minute. Then thereafter, Brian of Genk scored again, and we were again losing. But then luckily we have Toby Alderweireld at the 94th minute, the last minute, he scored and made Antwerp the best football team in Belgium. So what we just saw, then the game ended and we went home and we were partying, but what we just saw were a lot of events. So what happened is the game started, then the people scored and the game ended. In real life, we as a person, we know that all those events happened in a chronological way. And what you're going to do today is all of us are part of a new startup, a sport tech company, and imagine that a digital scoreboard does not exist yet. It's really innovative. And today, together, we're going to build the scoreboard in two ways. On the left side, we build it on a traditional way of how most of us develop software, not event-driven and with traditional storage. On the right way, we have the team of the event-sourced way. And let's see who will win at the end of the game. So as I said, these are all the facts that we observed. And now we're going to see how we will build an application where the goal is to show the score. We will, from those events that we observed in real life, we will keep an ID of the game, we will keep the score of the team that's playing home, that's out, and also the names of the teams. Then some time later, when another event happened, the application will update because we said that the score team home has now score 1. And that go on and go on and go on. And what is remarkable is that we don't store the previous state. But that's no worry because the business goal is to just build this application, so that's fine. So when we modeled this application, we only modeled the data that we need. And that's actually a very good practice, because in software design, we don't want to model for the future, because that will be hard to maintain, so it's a very good practice. And also, in this business case, we were only interested in the good current state, which is also a good practice, because it's very performant to query this data, and also with low storage cost. And also, what's the most important thing is that we could build this in time. It's not a very complex application. We could build in time, so the business was very happy. So we did a very good job with the traditional way. So we say, traditional way, it's 0. They got the goal. But now let's look at the event-sourced way. In the event-sourced way, from every fact or that happened in real life, we'll also store an event in the database. So we have the game started event that will contain the data, and we will save it. But what is new, we will broadcast it. And what is broadcasting, Michael? Who watched football on TV? I think most of you. So there is someone in the stadium who is filming the football match, and everyone who is interested in watching that game can watch. People on the top, they saw just the first goal of Genk, so they're happy. The left corner is a fan of Antwerp. They, ooh. On the right, we have me. I don't like football, so I just zap to the next program. And then right below, you have a bunch of people who are watching the game. But what's important to remember is that in an event-sourced way, all the facts we broadcast, and every single person, application, what you know in your ecosystem can listen to the data. They don't have to, but they can. They have the opportunity. So we go further, goal scored event, we save it, we broadcast it, and we will also, in this case, have the same way how we store the data for this application. Because to show this data, we will have the same data, but what happened is the goal scored event, we listen to it, and we update this table. We do this for all the events that happened, we listen, and it updates the table below. So at the end, we got the same result as in the previous example. But to be honest, I'm not that impressed with event sourcing, because it took as long as in the other way, and we got the same result. So I'm not yet convinced to use event sourcing. So, because we both met the business requirement, and that's what determines the goal, that we can build software on time, because that's all that matters for your CEO. It's one-on-one. Then, after a year, as an innovative startup, you have a new product requirement, and that new product requirement says that you want to store the goals, the goal makers, the players who made the goal, and you want it for all past game and future games. Now, in a traditional way, this becomes a bit harder. Why? This is the data we initially modeled and stored. We didn't capture the players who made the goals. But is this a problem? No. We still can build the application, but we lost a lot of data, a lot of context. It was just gone. We didn't store it because we didn't need it, because we didn't know then that we would need it now, which is fine. We can't predict the future. But in order to fix it, we have to do data migration. So we hired 2 students. They're going to watch all summer, all games again, of all football matches. They're going to put all the players who made a goal in Excel, and then we do an import in our database. But it will take 3 to more than 4 months. So it's possible, but it takes a lot of time to build the requirements. So the business is not happy. So no score. In an event-sourced way, we still have our history of all our events. And because our events, they represent the real life, the facts, we have the players who scored. And now, so we captured all the data, all the behavior, and we kept it. And now, really powerful, we can do a replay. So remember the broadcasting, that we just broadcast information. But when I was 12, and finally Telenet came with a D recorder, I was so happy that I could watch or rewatch my favorite show the day after. And it was not Winterbeelden, believe me. But what event sourcing allows us to do is to replay all the facts from the history over and over and over again. We can do analysis on it, we can innovate on it, whatever we want. So what we are going to do, we're going to create a new data model for the goals scored. For the technical people under us, we need a new table for the game ID, the ID of the goal, game ID, player, team, to model data. And then we're going to replay all past events. So on the left side, we have all the events. We're going to replay them, and it will fill our table. No data migration needed, no students needed who need to watch the games and enter all manually. So we achieved our goal, and we did it within the required time that business gave us. And that's important. So we did a very good job. We still, for our application, modeled only the data we needed, but we had all the data in the event, so we could reuse it. I changed our model so we didn't need a data migration. We could just put on replay, and we met the business requirement. So it's 1 to 2. And that's very important. The power of event sourcing comes later on. In the beginning, there was no difference between the two solutions. If you ask me if your application was never going to change, then I would just say, it doesn't matter which one you choose. But always the business wants something different, and also they want to innovate. And the power comes later, that we just saw now. But let's imagine you're an innovative startup, we want to enter the sports betting market. And we want to create a new sports betting application. And we are going to be competitive because we know we have the game scoring application and we have all the history of data, and we can make statistical analysis which doesn't exist in the current betting games. So we are a company with two teams. On the left side, we have the team that builds the scoreboard application. On the right side, we have a separate team that builds the betting application. And that team is interested in the game data for statistics. In a traditional way, on the left side, the data is locked. Is that a problem? No, because we can unlock the data, but the team has then to build an API, either event-driven or synchronous. They have to stop working on their current features, and they have to keep maintaining the integration. Because to unlock the data, they have to build that API. On the right side, the team that really wants to innovate, the time to market needs to be fast, they have to wait on the data until the left team is finished with integration. So there's a big dependency on the other team. In the event-sourced way, the data is by default already unlocked. Because remember, the broadcasting and the replay. Because that is what event sourcing gives us. So this team, once they come up with the ID, they can just listen to the data. They don't need to ask the other team, don't have to wait. They can build their model, ingest the data, and they can just go to market very fast within the time that business has foreseen. So it's 1, 2, 3, in my opinion. In the betting app, another requirement, we want to add an extra feature that you can bet player X is going to score at minute 5. But for that, we also want to ingest the history of data when certain players scored. In a traditional way, we didn't model the data because we didn't need it before, because it was not a requirement. So we're going to rehire those students, let them rewatch all the games, let them re-enter all the data, but eventually it will be there. In the event-sourced way, we also didn't model it for the specific application of the score game, but it's in the sequence of events, so it's no problem, we can go on. Also within the business time, so it's 1 to 4. But Michael, that sounds like a fairy tale, right? Who saw all those Walt Disney movies? why didn't we use event sourcing earlier when it's such a holy grail? And when we started programming in the 70s, 60s, 80s, storage was really expensive. So we only had the budget to store the data we really needed at that moment. It's very hard to build an event store database and also the messaging system to broadcast everything. And if you want to start with event sourcing and you don't use existing tooling, you will have to invest a big budget as a company to start making use of this nice pattern. Also, domain-driven design, where Allard will go into a little bit more, is a philosophy and not a rule book, and is open for a lot of opinions and discussions between teams. So it's not very easy to agree with your team on how to use that practice. And also another thing I find is that on school, the traditional way is still taught. So it's a really big mind shift to go event sourcing, and the learning curve is sometimes perceived hard. But today, in the Java world, we have the Axon framework. And the Axon framework is very opinionated on how to do domain-driven design. So we don't have to think how to do this. Allard and his team, they said it's like that, just follow us. Also, Axon Server will handle the event messaging and the storage of data. And Axon Academy allows us as engineers, your employees, to easily guide them on how to use this new approach, which is really a nice way of learning how to build event-sourced systems. So if you come back to data strategy, with event sourcing, we can capture all the data, all the events of football. In reality, you will capture many, many more events in football, like who scored, who had a red card, and so on. We keep it forever, and that allows you, when you unlock it, you can broadcast it. It allows you to innovate whenever you want. Because the thing with innovation is, you don't know when you get the idea. But when you have the idea, you will often have the dough moment. If I had no then I would have stored the data. With event sourcing, you will have it.
Applaus for
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that, Michael. I will follow up a little bit on your match. I like the analogy, and I really like you said about the match. I'm going to try to bring also a concrete example on that, to make it more concrete, more done. We know what we're talking about. What do we have here, for instance, at the VDAB? I don't know if anybody knows what the VDAB is, but I assume the majority of you guys know what it is. It's good to understand that within VDAB, we got really a lot of activity going on. Let me start with statistics. In 2021, unemployment rate in Flanders was 3.9%. Now we're talking. I mean, that's really great with all the standard. Let's agree on that. But it gets better. Last year, in 2022, according to the government, we reached 3.2%. That means we're definitely doing something. Now, VDAB is also contributing on his own way. The labor market, from as of now, is getting more intense. That means we have a lot of the offer and the supply is not really matching all the time. But one thing is for fact, we never had such a lower unemployment rate in Flanders. This is just really good. So what do we do within Flanders? Within VDAB, we're trying really in this process to try to help to find the perfect match. We call that the perfect match, is finding the right candidate for the right open vacancy. And how do we do it? I'm going to try to go through it in this little presentation. Before I do that, just to give you some thing I wanted to talk about, just a little bit the role. the social role of VDAB as well, its mission, the way we're working, how we're doing our cases. And then at the end, I'm going to give a concrete case and how we are managing and how we are implementing and using event sourcing. As most of you know, VDAB is a platform for employer and also for people who are searching for jobs. So what do we do for employer? We can do recruitment. We also do trainings. We can also do coaching. We do at VDAB, but also to the customer, to the employer, to the partners. What we also have, and that's really the core of our activity as well, is the job seeker. As a job seeker, we get a lot of vacancy. You can do your own assessment. You just log in and you do your own assessment. We also have training. We have coaching. We can really accompany your whole work. But in between of all of that, actually we only have one mission. We really do. And that's right there. It's jobs, 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 jobs. We really want to bring down again that unemployment rate. Working on that. And to do that, that means in this very tight market, you have on one hand the offer and the demand. We really have to match so we can select the right person for the right job. To do that, I just want to give you a little bit of the technical aspects here. Within VDAB, we have Action Server. We got a cluster of Action Server in our production environment where we store the events. So we collect them on the daily operation. We collect all those events and we store them. We're trying really to get as much information as possible, all those events. Let me illustrate something. A job seeker is working, for instance, just a baker. He wants another job. He wants to be a butcher. His job is too far away, or he doesn't want to work on Wednesday. There is a lot of things happening, and we're capturing all those information. We're really capturing those information. And that's, for us, like you know, data is gold. It gives us insight. We can make a statistic. We can analyze it. We can see. We can sometimes we even know better than the job seeker which job should we propose to him. And we're getting better at that as well. We're really getting better at that because of the analysis, the data that are coming in, the forecasting we're doing. We're making prediction for this candidate, for his location, for what he's done, for his own assessments, from the work around him. This is maybe what he wants. And that's how we propose that as well. Now, that was actually just to frame a little bit the environment and then to get to the concrete case. If anything, this is the part that's really a takeaway from my presentation. We have, for instance, a candidate. This candidate is a baker. He was working, and at one time, he stopped his job because he's too far. And then he comes in, he writes himself in, he wants to become a butcher. So we start looking for him for a butcher as well. But at the same time, we got also information that there is a bakery close by to where he lives. And we know that guy, he quit his job because he was too far. Even though now he's searching to become a butcher, we can also propose him a bakery vacancy. And where we get all those information, we look at our Action server where we store all our events. We do a lot of replay. So the history, everything that we've captured, We're trying to revive it, to try to get information out of there. And that's how we make our prediction. That's how we can contact the person with those information that just came in. Also, we do have interfaces with our partner, with the employer. So we know which jobs are coming. So the person that's just quit his job and he wanted to become a butcher, we can also propose him, for instance, a job as a baker close to his place, because we know he did quit the old one because it was too far. That's actually our match. That's how we found our perfect match. And finding that perfect match requires that, as a takeaway, we need a lot of data, historic data. And those historic data, we capture them. When we capture those events, we store them. We replay those events to give us insights and information to the application. That's actually my story, and I will hand it back.
Thank you, Al.